Straddling 55,000 square kilometers across 4 states, Delhi NCR is India's largest urban sprawl. The UN report on world urbanization projects that at 37 million residents, Delhi by 2030 will be the most populous urban region in the world. Over the years, Delhi has witnessed one of the most dramatic rates of urbanization globally. In 25 years, between 1991 and 2016, its population has tripled and its size doubled. But this expansion of city limits has meant that more and more of India's heartland, whether farms, village commons, or pastures along its peripheries, have slowly been eaten into.
I think that there is an implicit bias in urban planning, which assumes that the hegemony or the dominance of the city needs to be protected. But maybe in this process of urban planning, we give relatively little attention to where the resources for this urban expansion are coming from. So the land and water that will feed the cities, that are the basis of this urban metabolism, are typically acquired from the peripheral spaces, from villages around the cities, and that's where a lot of the losers are. So when we say that there is an implicit bias in urban planning, it means that we assume that the cities' needs are more important.
As of today, the Greater Noida Master Plan of 2041 is planning to convert 40,000 hectares of farmland into urban sprawls. In Delhi alone, 365 villages have been allocated for urban absorption.
We have a story where village land is never acquired, only the agricultural land is acquired. Villages are left ignored in the planning, which we can see in the documents. And neither the master plan of the Delhi, neither the zonal plan or the local plan shows what is the plan of the planners in the national capital for the villages. This is true for the past 75 years.
Paras Tyagi belongs to a village called Budela in the Vikaspuri area of North Delhi. Having witnessed the struggles of land use change in his village, he went on to practice policy advocacy through his grassroots organization.
I belong to a village where the central government agency, Delhi Development Authority, sold a village pond to Delhi government. And all the details are now coming in the mainstream because I was compelled to go to Delhi High Court to seek a stay on the construction activities on the pond land.
India has steadily been losing agricultural land to urban expansion right since independence. But that rate has been increasing at dangerous proportions. If close to 1 million hectares of farmland was lost between 1985 and 2000, that number has nearly doubled over the subsequent 15 years.
Everything around them, they are pushing them to sell out their own willingness, the social status, the possibility which lies with the high land value which they can get from their land, the shrinking of the land, which is becoming uneconomic for them to sustain themselves and their family. So everything is against them. The governmental policies are also not protecting the farmers' right.
Growing up in a family of generational farmers, Pawan Sharma recalls a childhood that thrived on an agrarian lifestyle. Saini, his village in Greater Noida, used to be known for its lush green fields and rich farms.
क्योंकि आज से 20 साल पहले जब हम अपने घरों में यहाँ खेती करते थे तो हमारे ट्यूबवेल का या यहीं का पानी होता था जो बिल्कुल शुद्ध पानी था क्योंकि ना तो यहाँ कोई चूँकि जंगल सभी गांवों का था तो पानी की जो शुद्धता थी और जो उसमें मिनरल्स थे या सब थे वो भरपूर थे। दूसरा जो हम खाद इस्तेमाल करते थे हम अपने ही पशुओं का और देसी खाद कल्टीवेट होकर उसी से बहुत अच्छी फसल उगती थी और उसकी जो क्वालिटी थी, शुद्धता और जो पौष्टिकता थी वो आज के मुकाबले बहुत बेहतर थी। जैसा कि आप देख पा रहे हैं ये जो चौड़ी रोड है 24 मीटर रोड है और इसके दोनों तरफ ये हाई राइज बिल्डिंग है, इधर ये फ्यूजन है, इधर ये दूसरे बिल्डर हैं। तो ये सारी जो लैंड है ये हमारे खुद के सैनी गांव की है, जो आज से 20 साल पहले यहाँ पे हरी भरी लहलाती हुई फसल हुआ करती थी। अब वो सब कुछ खत्म है।
Driving through Saini, one can hardly imagine the village Pawan grew up in. The undeniable markers of urbanization have left a staggering transformation. Farming no longer exists here.
2004 में इंडस्ट्री के लिए कह के, क्योंकि जो हमारा गांव पड़ता है गौतम बुद्ध नगर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में ग्रेटर नोएडा प्राधिकरण में पड़ता है, तो 2005 में इंडस्ट्री के लिए बोल के प्राधिकरण और जो प्रशासन ने मिल के हमारी ज़मीन एक तरीके से उससे कहेंगे कि जबरन अधिग्रहण कर ली थी। किसानों के जो घर उन्होंने एक्वायर कर लिए थे वो
Pawan's land, along with many others in the village, was acquired under the urgency clause in the Land Acquisition Act, a clause that gives the government special powers to take over the land for public purposes. Ritvik Datta, founder of Legal Initiative for Forest and Environment, however, points out that in most cases like Pawan's, the clause cannot be justified.
In 99% of the cases that I've seen, right, the cause for urgency is not satisfied. Right, urgency can be taken when there is a calamity, there's a war, there is an earthquake, and you need people to be rehabilitated urgently. Urgency cannot be for an airport. Urgency cannot be for a real estate project. Urgency cannot be because you suddenly want a road there.
About 80 kilometers from where Pawan lives is the village of Bajitpur Takran, a village where shrinking land holdings and dwindling agricultural profits have been driving farmers to look for more lucrative options. These are also ideal circumstances for land sharks who offer quick and easy money to anyone willing to give up their farmlands.
तो एक रीज़न ये होता है कि फार्मिंग से आती है एक लिमिटेड इनकम, फिर उसके बाद ये होता है कि कहीं एक अल्टरनेटिव ऑप्शन वाइज कहीं इन्वेस्ट करे, कहीं किसी फार्मिंग लैंड में, किसी कमर्शियल प्लॉट में, किसी फ्लैट में। तो प्लस रिक्वायरमेंट प्लस इन्वेस्टमेंट, ये दोनों जो है एक रीजन रहते हैं।
Local resident Satpal comes from a lineage deeply rooted in farming. But in 2012, they chose to sell their land because it was unsustainable for the family.
Can you find out the square root of -4?
Today, Satpal runs a coaching center in the village.
अगले 8-10 साल में ये है कि यहाँ पर जो ज़मीन जो है वो केवल इसी एरिया में अवेलेबल होगी, तब यहाँ प्रेशर आएगा और तब यहाँ पर चीज़ें स्टार्ट होंगी। गांव में से जो कुछ 2, 4, 5 किलोमीटर की दूरी पर कुछ प्रोजेक्ट्स आएंगे, तो गवर्नमेंट का हो सकता है अकोमोडेशन का प्रोजेक्ट आ जाए, किसी गवर्नमेंट दूसरे डिपार्टमेंट का प्रोजेक्ट आ जाए। अब जैसे ये हरियाणा में खरखोदा में IMT का प्रोजेक्ट आया है, तो अब उधर फैक्ट्रियाँ स्टार्ट होगी, तो यहाँ तक जो होगा उसका इफेक्ट आएगा। खेती तो बंद ही हो जाएगी, खेती नहीं रहेगी बिल्कुल भी।
This shift in land use, however, is more than just a visual change. It signals a deeper crisis. Reports suggest that the area of land that actually grows our food has shrunk by more than 3 million hectares. What could that mean in terms of food security and ecosystem balance?
तो ये गंगा यमुना का दोआब एरिया है, गंगा यमुना का डेल्टा है ये, तो ये वर्ल्ड के टॉप फर्टाइल एरियाज में आता है, नॉट ओनली इन इंडिया। तो उसको आप लैंड यूज चेंज कर रहे हैं। 360 गांवों का आपके पास प्लान है पिछले 30 सालों में जो बनाया है, आगे भी 1000 गांवों का प्लान आपके पास हापुड़ का, बुलंदशहर का है। तो ये पूरा फर्टाइल एरिया कहीं ना कहीं चेंज हो जाएगा। इस वजह से डायरेक्ट इम्पैक्ट पड़ेगा हमारे जो पैदावार है, जो हमारी सब्जियों की पैदावार है, हमारे खाद्यान्न की पैदावार है। इसलिए इसका कोई ऑल्टरनेट देखना होगा, और ऑल्टरनेट इतना आसान नहीं होगा। साथ ही साथ इससे हीट आइलैंड्स डेवलप होंगे, साथ ही साथ इससे वाटर का क्राइसिस बढ़ेगा। इसके अलावा जो ग्रीन हाउस गैसेज है उनका एमिशन बढ़ेगा। तो दूसरी तरफ एनवायरमेंटल प्रॉब्लम आएंगी, इस तरफ खाद्यान्न का संकट आएगा। तो इसलिए इस पर गहन विचार करने की जरूरत है।
It's been about 10 years since conservationist and social activist Vikrant Tongad rolled out a model of community farming in Greater Noida's KD Banota village. The model is designed to lease out farmlands at subnominal rates to urban residents who could then grow their own produce organically.
ग्रो फार्मिंग का मतलब है कि 8 से 10 फैमिलीज को एक साथ जोड़ना और एक माली उनके लिए हायर करना, आधे से 1 एकड़ का जमीन का हिस्सा लेना और उसमें उसी ग्रुप के लिए, उन्हीं फैमिलीज के लिए, 8 से 9 फैमिलीज के लिए ही सब्जियां उगाना। कमर्शियली कहीं बाहर नहीं बेचने की जरूरत पड़ती। वीकली हार्वेस्ट करके हर एक फैमिली अपने लिए सब्जियां ले जाती हैं।
The model is a small but concerted effort to try and slow down the frantic pace of concretizing farmlands, apart from popularizing chemical-free agriculture.
इसकी शुरुआत के पीछे जो वजह थी वो यही थी कि थाली में जहर ना जाए, हमारी जो प्लेट में है वो केमिकल्स ना जाए। बिना केमिकल फ्री फार्मिंग करके हम सब्जियां उगाएं जो कि ऑर्गेनिक होंगी, जिससे ह्यूमन हेल्थ को फ़ायदा होगा और एनवायरनमेंट को, सॉइल को बेनिफिट्स मिलेंगे।
On paper, urban development appears structured, but on the ground, unchecked expansion is erasing farmlands, displacing agrarian communities, and disrupting the ecosystem that once sustained them. Over the last few years, Paras pioneered the first ever digital mapping of all 357 villages in Delhi, bringing historical land use and revenue records to light.
Through GIS and other techniques, we have understood the planned area of village. Like village itself is a planned area for traditionally. In a village, you will find people are living in their Abadi area. Abadi means residential area, habitat. And around that habitat, farmers had their relationship with their agricultural land and their village commons. So we could see it through GIS maps that this is the Laldora, this is agricultural land, this is village common. To a certain extent that even a well, a kuan, is marked on the village revenue map.
The GIS mapping has helped empower communities, especially the youth, to at least recognize their exclusion from city planning. Cases where agricultural lands are being repurposed, for example, or habitats that are being left out of urban development. Experts point out how one cannot put a stop to urbanization. It is an inevitability. But what is needed is to shape it responsibly, so it doesn't create damage that is irreversible.
Urbanization process is inevitable. It is going to continue and it is going to happen. So we can divert the expansion to the poor quality land. And every settlement also have poor quality land. Now it is for the development authorities to identify the poor quality land, improve that poor quality land for urban development, and urban development should be diverted to these areas, which can be done. It's not that it cannot be done. The only thing is that the development authorities and everyone should be sensitive enough to protect the agricultural land, which right now nowhere is in practice.
And I think we should have a target today that a minimal certain percentage of land must be protected as for agricultural and horticultural purposes. You know, that is of great importance, because we should not be in a situation that in the mad rush for a $5 trillion economy, we end up becoming an importer of food grains, right? And that will defeat the whole purpose, and we'll be back to the pre-green revolution time when all your money has been spent in importing food grains.
Thanks for watching Eco India. If you like the story, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to Scroll.in on YouTube.